Hey, welcome everybody to Battle Pirates Crib. Pillage has just started, and I think a lot of people have heard the news of the sale of Kixeye to Stillfront. So go ahead and introduce everybody from left to right. I think Mike's off doing something, but Lady Cat
Hello.
and Aussie,
Good morning.
and we'll go ahead and start the slides. And let's move forward to the next one. Righty. I guess two main things. The stat block for the Mana Core CIC, one of them, not sure which one, had double entries. Been a while since I took a look at that blueprint. And as we talked about before, the siege targets are getting transitioned. And we can expect upgrade kits for the Shrike and Eradicator and the new targets that spawn, which is or a chance. So I don't know what that chance is going to be. So yeah, any thoughts on this?
No, I'll probably stick to the SSRB though.
Yeah, I mean it's I'm not sure where everybody is with the actual kits. More the problem is the actual time. So I don't think they're going to drop the tokens to speed them up. So
Yeah, and we know how good they did at dropping the Katie shards.
yeah, I would expect a higher drop ratio since they're way less valuable.
You're an optimist.
Well, you know.
Okay.
Alrighty. Well, let's click it and see what we get. We're updating the calendar. Right now, we're in the Siege World map transition, pillage, and the bulk opening chest, which is whatever. That's been delayed. Next week, we should expect the June raid and the ability to demote inactive alliance leader button. So,
Mutiny, everybody.
what?
Mutiny.
Mutiny.
Yeah. I'm not sure how they have to be inactive if it's just not on. I assume you can't then kick them out. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they work out the ins and outs of that one. But again, save all your, if you had FM tokens from last FM and you haven't spent them yet, save them because we have the raid upcoming. And we're going to be getting new skirmish halls, and you can store up chests associated with your current FM and have maximize your generic build tokens. So, and in the following week, we're going to have VXP and Inventory Management version 2. We've actually already seen a change in inventory management that they didn't mention in bug fixes. They've included building damage, which we talked about last week, as an additional category. And there's a little bit more search functionality than there was before. So that some of that dropped this week. So, and then yada, yada, bounty again, pillage again, da-da-da-da. So, but in regards to the June raid, we saw a post that came out about a month ago from Golden Doodle regarding, we got a lot of pushback on it, but basically the way it read was that we were going to have a 2-month raid cycle, at least 2 months of the top target. We're going to get these skirmish halls, and for 2 months, those are the S targets. And then the targets below that are going to be assault. And then after 2 months, it's going to transform over to siege, I guess. And then the skirmish targets are going to be the lower targets. And we saw that, and we never really got any feedback on it, except for today in Discord. One more click. Yeah, they're going forward with that, along with significantly reduced build times. So, if you guys want to look back at that, it's hidden somewhere. Or go back to an old show about a month or so ago, and I'll get into that. So, yeah, it's a lot of trust me, I think, on this one. What do people think about this?
I think the trust issue is hard,
Mm-hmm.
but believe it when I see it.
Yeah, it's I dread to think there's going to be a lot of 1999 offers. This feels much riper for time limited offers to show up to basically buy stuff so you can be relevant. I'm not a big fan of it. I mean, they talk about reduced build times, but reduce relative to what? Since the player's capability has gotten reduced significantly by the change in this cycle. So maybe what would be a good expectation that you're going to have a fleet ready for the last raid in the cycle? Are we still going to have tech stores, or how is this going to work? It's feels like a constant rat race to me.
And not just building new fleets for the raid and everything else that's coming up, but doing upgrades to existing fleets, which uses the same resource, their shipyard. So we're kind of hurting there.
Yeah. Yep. So I don't know. It would have been nice if he gave us. I assume that outline that was proposed is going through in total. We didn't get any feedback from him on that post, so like what he liked or what he didn't like, how they're moving forward. Besides, this is the only thing I've seen from that so far. So, Mr. Singh has asked, anyone doing pillage with bats? I haven't started mine yet. Some people were. I need to ask Raptor. Raptor was able to do the 100s auto for instant repair, and I'm still not sure how he was doing that. But people doing so yeah. But people are doing them for reasonable damage in the 100s. So I'm sorry. Anybody else have any experience with these?
No, I'm not doing those. I'm just doing the lower ones.
Not the 100s.
No.
Yeah, the 80s you can for a combo of 5,000 per set. There's 2 targets. The 80 you can auto probably 3 or I don't know about 2 or 3 of them on the map for instant repair with prototype seekers. And in the 63 you can drive and get instant repair. It's a quick target for instant repair on the map, and you get 5,000 for the set, and it doesn't take that much time. So if you're willing to sort of grind a little, because as I recall, those other targets took a long time. You do get significantly more points, but yeah, I'm going to go with the 80 and the 63 personally.
Yeah, that's what I did last time. That's what I'm going to be doing this time.
It was pretty easy last time, and that's my plan this time.
It's exactly the same. Targets are exactly the same. So yeah.
Yep.
Well, I'm doing a 63 at the moment with my Hydras, and that's taken 1 minute.
Mm-hmm.
Are they
1 minute damage or 1 minute?
No, exact
time?
1 minute to do the target. And
Okay,
when I come out, by the time I come out, the Tide Seekers have finished as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Proto Tides, I should say.
And you're not having any trouble with your...
No, I'm not having... No, they're staying stacked.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
And my Hydra gets about a minute, and the Tides are getting like 30 seconds.
Okay. Well, we're going to get to pillage, so we sort of sneaked ahead to that. Shipwrecks, the event that we had last week. I think the community is a little bit divided on this.
Yeah, it depends on if you're in an alley or not.
Well,
Or
there's
big
there's two different, a medium to large allies. They did alliances. They did quite well. The other issue was um, because of the way the technology was released. We were given one ship for free, the one Corsair, and then before the event started, there was a time limited offer for 1999 for 3 Corsairs. And because this is a PvP event to a great extent, as far as the actual Shipwreck Targets, I still wish they would change the name, because they should call them Shipwreck somethings, because we also have the Shipwreck Outpost, and it's very confusing to talk about. But the 1999 offer created a lot of problems because players that built the one Corsair blueprint that was available were extremely vulnerable to a player that had 3. You really couldn't, unless the guy was a complete idiot, you would have an extremely difficult time killing 3 ships with one ship with all the same equipment and whatnot. So I really consider the release of this technology one of the biggest failures. Could you, one more click? The other big failure that I thought was the fact that the top set of tables is associated with what was released by Kixeye as far as the alliance payouts. The bottom set is associated with, if you considered it, what I consider the actual value of the payout. Because if you had a 100-person alliance, that's how many points were generated by this. So you see 150% difference. No, I'm sorry, 150 times difference, not 150%. 150 times the payout associated with the high-level alliance targets, and that's the other issue that personally I saw with it, as far as the unbalanced nature of it and the disparity associated with it. Chris is either going to come out with a Kixeye-based lessons learned, what they thought about shipwrecks, because it was controversial. Either today, or he said at the very latest tomorrow. So maybe we'll see it during the show. Maybe we will not see it till tomorrow, and we'll talk about that on the Friday show. And I know the different people on the show have different opinions, so go ahead.
I had a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
And your alliance was 21st in the global rankings.
Yeah, we came in 21, so we didn't get a prize, but we did really well considering. We had some people did coin early builds or bought offers, which helped them get enough points for the Lions that helped us get enough points to build ships as well. So that helped a lot. We were still outnumbered by a lot of the big alliances, but it was fun. I had fun fighting PNLS. There were some really good drivers there, and I could learn a lot just watching them. I normally don't enjoy fighting with them, but I did have fun. Our alliance got a lot of points. We worked together. It brought out this comradeship that we hadn't felt in a long time, to work together. You know, we used to PvP that way. Everybody used to PvP that way, I think. You'd attack sectors or allies, and we all worked together. And we hadn't done that in years, so doing that was fun. And yes, some of us spent coin. I didn't spend a lot, less than 50, but I did spend coin on repairs. So yeah, I had fun.
Aussie?
No, I didn't have fun at all. No, if I tried to hit any of the ones with, the targets where you got a decent amount of points, I just got hit and killed. And I don't coin my repairs, so it was just a waste of time for me. So I just went back to hitting the lower ones, got what I wanted, and that was it. I think I got 120 That's all I wanted. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I had a sort of a similar experience. It was, I, again, I didn't like the disparity in the actual payouts. The fact that each one of the high level alliance ones gave out 150 times what the personal ones did, and then also, like as I mentioned before, the way the technology was released. That anyone that didn't buy the 1999 offer, like before the event, could, as you said, also, could easily be overcome by somebody with 3, and it was a pointless exercise. So, yeah, it had some warts associated with it that I think would have been fine if they had uh, basically switched these 2 weeks. If they had Pillage this week, last week, I'm sorry, they had Pillage last week, release the technology, and then allow us to build it over the course of the week, and then we all were on semi-even footing going into the event. So it was 3-on-3 or 1-on-1, but the technology disparity that was created by the time limited offer by itself, let alone being exacerbated by the very high alliance payouts, would have made for a better experience, I think, for the player base as a whole. But there is a big part of the player base that really loved this event because of the disparity of them getting way more points than everybody else. So yeah, it was.
Well, basically, I mean, if you're in a big alley, you didn't even have to play.
No, not at all. I mean, there's players that didn't even log in that got 4 million more points than I did, or and I got a little over 100,000 like you did, so they ended up with 4.5 million, and I ended up with 100,000. Well, I'm grinding away and doing something, and they didn't even log in. I mean, that part was. I hope that part is addressed in the their lessons learned is what I'm calling it. I don't know what they're going to call it, but it should come out today or tomorrow. So,
And I do agree with that it was off balance. I think
Off
whether
balance, it fell off the edge of the world.
yeah, well, it was hard. I mean, it was hard when I had 1 ship against 3, or even 2 against 3. It was very difficult for me. Fortunately, I had the alley to back me up. If I didn't have the alliance, I couldn't have done it, and I probably wouldn't have done it. I would have done like everybody else and just either grinded it out or given up. But it did get harder because at the beginning there was a lot of alliance targets, and then they cut that down to just like 3 to 5, I think. And
well, they cut it down to 3, and then they increased it to 5 because they saw the massive number of points that were getting earned. They didn't expect what they saw,
right.
So they tried to curtail the number of points going into the event. But I guess they created it too late and created the expectation from the player base after looking at the leaderboard that I need this number of points. It wasn't handled well.
They created a funnel basically when they did that, and you had all these people that wanted to get alliance points and they couldn't because there were fewer targets to go after, and the ones that were getting them had already gotten the major points and the build tokens and had built the ships, and we're so outnumbered. It made it harder and harder for the rest of us, even those of us that were coining some and were in a medium alliance. They did make it harder.
Yeah, and then the people that, and then some of the people that were in the alliances that ended up getting all the ships spent, just tried to spend their generic tokens to then go out and hit the personal ones and, bounce all those people off. It was chaos. It was very unbalanced in my opinion. So,
Yeah,
right.
I'm sure it was the hardest for people that were in the same world as the top 10 alliances. You know,
Yeah, and everybody was.
and we all were, yeah.
Yeah, everybody was. So,
All right.
well, I
Next.
mean, just at the four of us, I think, everybody in the game was.
Yeah.
There's only 5 worlds, so. Alrighty. Any more on Shipwrecks?
No, I had the
Okay.
same experience actually. Just putzed around with the single
outpost.
targets.
The bounty
Yeah.
targets?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Pillage just started. Runs for another basically 4 days. And this is our 4th or 5th one. And we talked about
Yeah.
this a little bit earlier. Most of us are leaning towards the 80 and the 63. If you have the prototypes, a lot of people are going out and hitting the 100 set. They're longer targets. You will take damage. The 100 is the easiest of them. I think the 102 is the most difficult because it was designed for strikes, unless they fixed it in some way. It was designed for strikes, and then they basically just nerfed the hell out of strikes, associated with the PVE refactor, and the biggest part of that was the splash reduction thing that they did. So I don't know if anybody here or whatnot would be familiar with hitting the 102s and how that's working at this point.
I haven't tried one.
No.
I think I tried one last time and it was like, nah, it's not for me.
I thought it was the 101. I thought it was Eradicators.
Whatever was in
last
that
time,
set.
wasn't it?
What's in that set? Is it a set of
I don't know.
one?
I had trouble. I think I had trouble with
That's a set
Eradicator
of
one.
3. There was one of them that I had a problem with, and
Yeah.
it was like, no, it's not worth it. I'll just do the
I haven't tried
low
it,
sets.
but I'm autoing the 80s right now. Since
I might try it again though, because I tried to rush strikes in the base part target
Mm-hmm.
in the 103, and basically the Salon just does it for almost no damage.
Okay. Well, maybe they changed some things, but because
So
people were
based
getting
on a base parts target,
you're talking about okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
When you said
talking about base
103,
parts
I thought
target.
you were just okay. Yeah.
it's probably
So I don't know.
they'll have it
I was
restricted.
surprised it did so well, to be honest.
Well, the 103 is a different type of. It's a different
Yeah, yeah.
tier of target.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go on to the next slide. All right. As we talked about before, here's the payouts for the different targets. They haven't changed the last month or two, so it's as expected. So let's go on to the next. I'm only introducing the new prizes and the ones that they added later, because so many, you can figure it out. There's so many different prizes. The Gorgon, which is a new defender, we'll talk about, 60K. The missile that goes with it, 25K. And we'll get more into the Tier 8 Interceptor Upgrade Kit, which they reduced the amount of significantly. I think it is supposed to be able to get 250 total across. We'll get into more detail on that one. The other things were added were the explosive battery, which you're going to want to put on your Praetorians, and some people have previously put on their dragons because of the much higher turret resistance or turret survival. And you're able to get 1 Night Watch countermeasure. And a push at the last moment allows you to claim 2 more of the Corsairs or 2 more of the strike frigates for players, that weren't able to get those. I ended up getting 1 of each associated with the shipwreck thing. So this is personally helpful for me. This allows you to build them. There's some other interesting prizes in there, like you can get a couple of HT transformers if you need them. But this is, this is the new stuff. So anything on the cost of the prizes? Because we'll go through each one in a minute.
No.
Okay. Let's go to the next one. All right. This is the new Tier 8 Defender. There's a max claim of 2. It's got some interesting mechanics into it. It's got a negative 55 penetrating range. Once you add your normal missile extender, this is a missile-based ship, gets you out to a range of about 57. It does have a remote targeting range of plus 250, which used to go out to about 200. But it does have a damage fall off of negative 70%. The other interesting part about this is it has a special ability with a range of 40. So basically 20 from each side of the ship. That has a combat speed of negative 500. And it only impacts a single ship per Gorgon. So if you have 5 ships racing to it, the first one that hits it is basically going to stop dead in the water. The remaining 4 are going to continue to shoot through. So, yes, and it can use counters. There's no new counters. There's no Tier 8 counters at this point, but yes, it can equip counters. So, anybody have any thoughts on the Gorgon at this point? The way I look at it, the way my base is designed to make this work. You basically need to have the incoming ships run over your ship, and in my design, it does not require that. So, thoughts, everybody?
With that little range it's got where it slows it down, once it kills that ship, if there's another one, say as it got into it, one died into that range, and the next one then came along, does that one then get impacted by that, or is it only a one-off?
I'm assuming it's got a duplicate aura cap of 1, so it means it can only impact 1 at a time.
Yeah,
there's
but
no
once that
frenzy, there's no frenzy or buildup. So I'm assuming once that 1 is impacted, again, we haven't seen it in action. The assumption, if it's working properly, that it should impact another ship that goes through that field, that aura. That would be my assumption, but we haven't seen it in action.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought, but I just thought maybe you might have some more insight, but okay.
No, I haven't asked that question. I've been busy with other ones that
you would think it would, though, because it does say until it dies.
Right.
It does say until it dies, so
yeah. I was busy with getting the kits reduced and the fact that we could get more interceptors in this event as opposed to having it all tied to the shipwreck events. So, but again, 57 range as far as the base range of this, and then the 40 range on the special ability. So if you're gonna build this, you need to create a situation where you're forcing the enemy ships to run this ship over. It's quite tanky with its resistances, and so if you're going to claim this and build it, I would look at your base design and think if you want to change it, because it's not for everybody if you don't want to change your base design. So
Somebody in chat said there are no interceptor tokens as prizes. I'm looking at
interceptor tokens.
No, it's no tokens.
No.
It's only kits.
It's
Well,
kits. It's kits.
Just kits.
Are they there? Did you see them?
Oh, the kits are.
They were earlier.
Have run into technical difficulties. They will be released soon. They're planned to be part of it, but if you look in the prize list, they haven't made it in there. They're I don't know why they didn't, because they were part of the original list, but they're having some issue as far as getting it in the interface as far as being able to claim them.
Okay.
But they are coming. They are coming.
That's unusual.
Are upgrade kits for the Gorgon coming too? Just
Well,
Inquire.
hope not.
inquiring minds want to know.
Well, there hasn't been any announcements that they have upgrades yet since we haven't received them yet, but
Oh.
it doesn't change anything. But maybe in next week's FM. I'm just kidding on that, everybody. But yeah, none yet. As we've been seeing with the Conqueror and Defender hulls, they usually let them stand alone for a little while before introducing them. That's why a lot of people were quite surprised with the Interceptors that the next week now we have upgrades for them. And we'll get into that in a second. Let's go look at the weapon, which is... and Gorgon is, yeah, the sisters... Medusa is one of them. So, and Ophidian is... it's not a genius, it's a family. I can't remember if it's a family, but it includes snakes and some other reptiles. But 17 hours to equip. That's a fair amount of damage. Yada, yada, yada. Nothing special, unless somebody else sees something really special on this one. If we go back, one of the things that's special about it is putting it on there is because it already has a penetrating damage of 150% built in. So it's going to do some damage once you add in the right specials. So, all right, let's... anybody have anything on the Ophidian?
Nope.
No, sir.
No.
Okay. Well, let's move on. All right, the Interceptor upgrades. Basically, the one on the left is for the Corsair. Basically, all of these things get repeated again and again. Each one, I'm looking at the Corsair at first because there is an exception associated with the frigate. They're basically adding 5% for each one of these things. I'm not certain on the projectile speed of the broadside because we are not given that information in the blueprint. But if we assume a projectile speed of 300, which I just did by looking at the other one being 5% and then calculated what that one would be, it's basically each time it's increasing it by 5%. The time down below, I already have my intelligence lab at 12. So it's chopping off 5%. So it's close to basically a week without an upgraded intelligence lab for each one of these levels and requires 100 kits.
It's longer to upgrade it than it was to build it.
Yeah. Yeah. And Exile Iris says, Medusa not be a better option. Yeah. Yeah. Medusa has it's 75 to 76, and now you're going to be reducing negative. Yeah, it will never fire. But don't put that one on. You need to stick with the Ophidian. And it is quite amusing. I'm curious what the graphic display of that's going to be. So, and then on the right is the frigate. Again, 5% for everything except for the Eagle Eye firing arc, which gets increased from plus 8% each level. Starts off at 24%, and it works its way all the way to 29.86, so basically 30. So it's not a massive increase. It goes from 25 to 30, but it could find an advantage. The thing that we looked at earlier was the number of claims associated with this. It's the tier 8 Interceptor Upgrades kits is 250 at this point. Golden Doodle mentioned on Discord that there is currently no quote unquote, I can't do the air quotes on this, but there's no plans at this point to release any more. But there is obviously a plan to release more. But I just hope they don't come in time limited offer, like right before the next shipwreck event. So so basically the point of what I'm trying to make is, if you have, some people have 12 of these ships, you have the choice with the limited availability of doing 2 ships to U1 or 1 ship to U2 across your Corsairs and your frigates. So it's not an extreme overload that everybody was afraid of, and what was originally posted. So it'll keep things a little bit more balanced in the near term.
Well, I'm grateful for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm curious. I know you guys don't really have the ships or haven't used them. I'm curious what people in chat would want to do. Would they want 1 ship at U2 or 2 at U1? Any opinions, anybody? Don't all talk at once.
Well, because it's and a lot of people probably don't. You probably have more experience than everybody else here, and it also depends on which ship are you gonna do it to.
Yeah,
There's a lot of factors associated with it.
exactly.
Are you gonna do it to your Corsair? Are you gonna do it to your frigate? Are you running 1 frigate with 2 Corsairs? Are you running a pure fleet? There's a lot of possibilities there. Yeah. Bull with it, yeah. That was sort of what I was suggesting to people. 1 U2 frigate, but I don't know. I don't have a lot of experience with it.
Yeah, I feel the same way, Benjamin.
Yeah.
We aren't ready for that yet.
Yeah, and this was sold as a level playing field. That's why it was so upsetting what they did. That it was a skill event, and everybody fighting against each other basically had the same advantages, except for how much you wanted to coin to repair. And coin is still a big part of this, because coining to repair these ships is part of it.
Yeah.
And how much you're willing to pay to coin for whatever the value of whatever target you're fighting for, because that is part of the cost. But now the actual combat is further compromised, as opposed to what we talked about before, 3-on-1 and whatnot. But now it's the individual ships have been tweaked to be a little bit more advantageous than previous. So
yeah. And that in a lot of ways, it sort of ruins the event for me. I really thought if I could get good and learn to drive these ships, and it's not easy. It's not easy to control 3 ships, especially if you have a mixed fleet and the different speeds, and every person that you fight against has a different configuration, so and different skill level. So it's challenging and it's fun, but if they're gonna be able to outdo me again,
I feel they should have left it a couple of months before they did the upgrade kits, not just have the ship and then straight away and upgrade it.
Yeah, a month would have been fine.
A month or 2 months.
Put them in the next shipwreck event. But I think what happened was they made a lot of money, and they want to make some more.
Okay. Well, let's move on. See what else we. No, well, we can go back. That's the whole ball of wax. If anybody have anything more they want to say about the game as we've been talking about it before we get into the sale of Kixeye to Stillfront?
No, I think the sale is on everybody's mind right now because we don't know what's going to change.
Okay. Alrighty. I'll read through the statement that Chris put out and the statement of the new president of Kixeye. June 3rd, Kixeye will entered into agreement to be acquired by Stillfront, a Swedish company. Still, Stillfront is well known for investments in game portfolios with long life cycles and loyal users. Qualities have been defined by Kixeye's games, besides Tome, throughout its decade-long history. Moreover, the partnership ensures that Kixeye's existing portfolio of War Commander, Battle Pirates, have the resource, experience, and support needed to continue well into the future. And then a note from Kixeye president Clayton Stark, who, if you had never seen him, has an absolute
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
what?
He's a
Stark.
star.
He's a star.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he has an epic beard. As he ages, in a couple years, he could go full Gandalf on us.
Well, this
I
might
mean-
turn out okay then. If he's a
Yeah.
Stark, I feel better already.
Yep.
So,
Sorry about that.
his statement is: our game teams are undergoing no significant operational changes, nor do we anticipate any disruptions to the standard live operations of the game. Stillfront and Kixeye's partnership is based on the understanding that these games will be continuing long into the future, with our browser games fully migrating to HTML5. Above all,
Okay, that's a bit of a worry. Hang on. They said no changes. So does that mean it's going to be exactly the same as it is now?
Yeah, we're gonna
problems.
get into that. I've researched some stuff, and I'm like, I don't know what level we're going to see the changes. Above all, we'd like to extend a heartfelt thank you to our amazing player communities who have helped make these games a success. We look forward to the newest chapter as part of the Stillfront family. I guess we're done with this one. So there's two things that have happened. One, Kixeye is being bought by a Swedish company. The other thing is Kixeye is no longer a U.S. San Francisco-based company. They are now a Canadian company based in Victoria,
Hey.
Canada. Yep. You want to click, Lady Cat? There we go. So they're rebranding the game. And,
Hey.
we hope you're all happy about it. But there have been there's
He's only just noticed it.
me.
When I saw
No.
it come up on the tube, I was going to say, what are they going to do? Name it Battle Pirates A? And it came up on the tube. That's why I laughed. Sorry.
Yeah. So what's happening is the game that I've always called Castle and Kisses, also called Kingdom Maker, is not part of this sale. Kixeye is in cash is selling Battle Pirates, the ones that were listed, the older games, along with War Commander Rogue Assault, to Stillfront for $90 million to $120 million. That extra $30 million is based on the money that I think it's based on the money that Kixeye is making this year, which gets distributed. It's a cash payment to Kixeye and its shareholders. From what I can see, looking at Kixeye's website, you will see that all of the top executives are no longer on the website. The ones that you're used to, your Paul Priest, David, Will, and all the other ones are gone. They've been replaced by people that you might have seen before. And we're not sure at what level the transference of employees and executives from Kixeye, the old Kixeye, to the new Kixeye is, how that's taking place. That's not been divulged. I have looked at some of the portfolio of games that Stillfront has. Some of the games they have, they still list as featured games. I played before I played Battle Pirates. One of them, at least. The Shakes and Fidgets. It was whatever. But, it's a much simpler game. I haven't looked through all of their games. They do appear to be simpler games. From what I ascertained, there was a little over an hour-long briefing that was put out by Stillfront. That was it was a web streaming thing as a press release associated with this. There was a couple of, I think, interesting things. Their expectations as far as really growing the game seem to be basically based on War Commander Rogue Assault. They did talk about making Battle Pirates a fully functional mobile game. They did talk about the fact that they prefer established games with an established community as a lower risk thing, and they're willing to they didn't say sacrifice profits, but basically they don't it doesn't appear that they expect the same returns because these are already established entities. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff I know. I mean, Will Harmon has put up a very hilarious website for his new company. And there's a lot of stuff I know. Does anybody have any questions? I can't tell you like how things are going to progress from here. Like I said, I've done research on this, and I'm not sure at what level people are leaving. Like, is Wrong Thinkers going to be part of the new group, the old group? I don't know. And if those of you on Discord, you might have noticed that you haven't seen certain game designers in a couple of weeks or a couple of months.
Yeah.
So I don't want to provide too many details because I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there as far as, I've done a fair amount of research on this, but I don't know everything. I mean, I was I was surprised that Kixeye has made $850 million through historically up to this point through Battle Pirates and the other games.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, any questions from YouTube or from the panel?
No.
That's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Usual, just wait, see what happens.
Yeah, but I do feel better after you did your research and told me that they seem to be in it for long term more than take the money and run, which I think is how Kixeye kind of did this game.
Well, they didn't take they created it. They took the risk.
Yeah.
They took the risk and created it, and they got a lot of money dumped it because the game was,
right,
free. I mean, it was absolutely, you couldn't even, when I started playing, it was over a year before you could even actually put your credit card associated with it. So they had people playing for free and people developing content for absolutely free for a long time. I think they were making their money off of Backyard Monsters to fund Battle Pirates. But yeah, when I started, you couldn't even put a credit card in. So,
but in the past, but since then, hasn't it seemed like they never expected it to have this length of service, basically, which is why they had such short-term plans for the game?
Yeah, I mean, until recently, because I mean, nobody was a big fan of the refactor or the PvE refactor or some of the things that they've done. And in retrospect, you look back on this, and then everybody's like, "This isn't for the players. This isn't for the players," and it really wasn't for the players. This allowed for a new direction, a transitioning to make this game simpler to run, is the way I see it. So, it became less complicated. We have less targets. We have less layers to the how the damage is calculated. It all seems like it's easier to QA. You can make changes easier. It's not as complicated from the developer standpoint and somewhat to the player standpoint. I think that's what they were going for. So, so I think once we started seeing those sorts of changes, they were in
For the
we want to
long
hand this over type of mode. I could be wrong. Again, I'm speculating on this, but that's just sort of the way I see it.
Okay, well,
So,
there's hope, everybody.
yeah, I don't think as I joked, I don't know if anybody saw it. And upgrade kits are now available in the store, so refresh if you're not seeing them at this point. But yeah, I did joke that at first when we saw the news that Stillfront was just buying Kixeye and Battle Pirates just for the Xinthium, so they could sell it off in the market because Xinthium is seen a real high as far as its value per ton. But after listening to the press conference, which was not aimed at players, I don't think they actually thought players were listening to it. It was aimed at because Stillfront is a publicly traded company, unlike Kixeye. So more of their message was associated to or aimed at stock analysts and things of that nature and people in the press that were going to write about the change. It wasn't aimed at, I don't think it was aimed at the player base. Didn't sound like it was aimed at the player base. So, I don't know. I guess I can post a link if anybody would like to join. And if not, we can proceed to the after show. I know that Aussie needs to go in a couple minutes. So there's a link in case anybody would like to join. And if not, thank you everyone for showing up. And we'll be back on Friday. And I hope that we'll have a chance to talk about the Shipwrecks lesson learned from the Kixeye perspective, what they thought about it, and how people are doing in Pillage and whatnot. Hey, Ben. How are you doing?
Oh, hello.
Hello. Your volume's a little low.
Shouldn't be, but
It is, though.
is that better?
Nope.
Not much. I can crank you all the way up, but I'm not sure it's going to. Try it again.
Hello.
Yeah,
There we go.
All right. Thanks. How's everyone?
Okay.
Good.
So, any thoughts, anybody? Or should we proceed to the after show?
After show.
After
Okay.
that's why I'm here.
Last chance, anybody? All righty. Well, we'll see y'all on Friday. And the link's still there in case anybody would like to join the after show. And thanks a lot for showing up, everybody. Later.